Imagine a monster that doesn't hide in the closet, but in the space between heartbeats. For Leo, being alone meant being stalked by a suffocating dread of failure and a silence so loud it screamed his every insecurity. This is the horror of your own brain turning against you. Leo's world was a small, quiet one. Mostly lived inside his own head. The worst part of his day wasn't school or bullies. It was the moment his mom's car pulled out of the driveway, the sound of the engine fading down the street until it was swallowed by a silence so loud it rang in his ears. Being alone in the house was his personal nightmare. It wasn't ghosts or monsters he was afraid of, it was the emptiness and the way it gave his brain all the room it needed to completely spiral. See, Leo was a prisoner of overthinking, trying to do anything. Homework, making a sandwich, even picking a show to watch felt like trying to run a marathon in quicksand. He'd open his math book, and a simple equation would trigger a chain reaction. If I get this wrong, I'll fail the quiz, which will wreck my GPA, so I won't get into a good college, and I'll end up completely alone, working some dead-end job, and my parents will be so disappointed. His heart would start hammering against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of pure dread over a future that hadn't happened. The fear of failing, of making a single wrong move, was so paralyzing that it was easier to just do nothing. He'd just sit on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen, listening to the clock tick in the other room. Each tick a reminder that time was passing and he was accomplishing absolutely zilch. His phone was a lifeline, but also a source of fresh anxiety. He'd watch his friends' stories, them hanging out, laughing, having group chats that scrolled for miles, and feel a million miles away. He wanted to text to say, "Hey, what's up?" But his brain would short circuit. What if I'm bothering them? What if they're busy? What if I say something weird and they just leave me on read? So the phone would usually just stay in his hand, a cold, silent brick, proof of his own inability to just reach out. The true horror came in the late afternoons when the shadows in the house grew long and twisted. The silence would change from just empty to watchful. Every creak of the floorboards was a judgment on his idleness. The hum of the refrigerator was a taunt, a monotonous drone that seemed to say, "Loser, loser, loser." He'd jump at every little noise, not from fear of an intruder, but from the sheer crushing weight of his own isolation and the terrifying thought that this was it, that he was trapped forever in this loop of wanting to connect, wanting to succeed, but being so goddamn afraid of screwing it up that he'd rather just fade into the quiet, becoming just another piece of furniture in the empty house. The real monster wasn't in the closet. It was the voice in his head, and it never, ever left him alone.